Today we're going to talk about the Noah's floods, the famous floods. There are many questions regarding the Noah's floods. Some of them are like, when did the floods occur? Was it global or local? Also, what type of a ship the ark was? How did Noah got all the animals into the ark? So there are many questions regarding this topic. Well, we can begin maybe with the first question. When did the floods actually occur? According to latest archaeological evidence, it seems to be about 12,800 years ago that the floods, great floods, occurred. We know that the incident is mentioned in the history of many cultures around the globe. Besides the three monotheistic religions, for example, Sumerians, Babylonians, Incas, Mayans, Aztecs, Abyssinians, they have all recorded the incident in their history. In particular, with the Abyssinians, we see that they have a name there as well, and they refer to Noah as Naha, meaning the man who lived a very long time. In the Sumerian tablets, he is mentioned as Utnapishtim, and in the three Abrahamic religions, he's mentioned as Nuh alayhi salam or Noah. But how did this event occur? Because whatever occurs in the universe, we know that it happens through Sunnatullah, what we call Sunnatullah. And Sunnatullah, maybe in English we refer to it as natural laws. However, we know that from an Islamic theological perspective, all natural laws are governed by God Almighty. So according to natural laws theory, one theory is a large comet passing by Earth began to break up into fragments, and large fragments hitting the Earth. What caused by this large impact is something defined as a nuclear winter effect. What happened is when these fragments hit the Earth's surface and the oceans, they raised a massive dust and aerosols into the atmosphere. And in time, they all covered the atmosphere where the sunlight was blocked. So we see the beginning of an ice age, we can say, according to the theory. Everything began to freeze, in particular the North and the South Poles, and massive ice glaciers and ice covered many parts of the northern hemisphere of the Earth, and perhaps the south as well. Eventually, when the skies cleared, the ice began to melt, and massive vaporizations occurred as well, and the sea levels rose about 100 meters. So we can say that there was a global flood effect on Earth, as I said, about 12,800 years ago. And amongst the scholars, Islamic scholars, there are two views in regards to the Noah's floods. One view is that the floods were more local. Particularly, it was focused on Noah's people only. So the destruction happened to Noah's people, Qawmi Noah, as the Quran mentions. The other view was it was global. However, when we look at the evidence, we can say that it was global. But Mesopotamia, in particular, where Noah assumed to live, was hit the worst. And one of the reasons for this is when we look at the elevation of that area, we can see that it is the lowest point on Earth, on land, and the Dead Sea along the borders of Jordan and Israel is about 430 meters below the sea level. So if there was a great flood around 12,800 years ago, this area, this region would have been hit the worst, certainly. So Noah's people were definitely destroyed completely, as the Quran clearly mentions this, except those who bought the ark. Some people around the world may have survived, according to some archaeological evidence, geological evidence as well. Some scholars do argue that Noah's family may have repopulated the earth, but when you think about it from a theological perspective, there was no reason for God to destroy everyone on earth. The rebellion occurred because of the Noah's people. We cannot, blame the entire world for a rebellion that Noah's Kawim, Noah's people did. So we can maybe, to paint a picture, we can maybe assume that there was a global flood. There was no doubt about that, because we find the evidence all over the world in the history of many, many civilizations in the past. So this is a confirmation, and there is geological evidence too that a flood occurred, great flood occurred. But one of the questions that people frequently ask is, how did Noah actually fit all the animals, a pair of all the animals? We could say land animals, because there was no need to put the sea animals or the flying animals into the ark. The land animals, how did Noah fit all these land animals into the ark? Mathematically, it's not possible. You would need thousands of square meters of area to fit all the animals in the world into the ark. So when you think about it from that perspective, also we can say that how did Noah bring some animals, for example, from China, such as pandas or koalas from Australia? So this is not very logical from that perspective. So I have a theory on this. I believe that Nuh alayhi salam, only took farm animals on board the ark, such as chickens, goats, sheep, cattle, horses, camels, and so on, because they were crucial for the survival of Noah's family after the great floods receded. It sounds much, much more logical, because they needed to survive on some type of food. And they needed the horses, sheep, and chickens for example, eggs and milk and various other reasons. So it makes sense that Nuh alayhi salam, Noah, may have only taken a pair of all types of farm animals into the ark. And as regards the global flood effect, we can say that it is not possible for all the water, because if we calculate all the water on Earth, it is not possible that the entire Earth was submerged underwater. This is technically not possible, and scholars say maybe the highest that the sea levels can rise is about 100 meters. So great mountains such as the Himalayas and various other mountains were not underwater. Only certain areas were underwater. And there are views that Noah had a very large family. There are some views that over 70 people boarded the ark. But there are also views about the ark, whether it was just one ship or more than one ship. Because this is very interesting when we look at the Quran. There is a term used for the ark in the Quran, fulk. The Quran uses the term fulk, also al-fulki. This means the term there, if you look at the etymology of the term, you will see that it also means fleet, which means group of ships. So there may have been more than one ship also, because there are some views that after the floods, Nuh alayhi salam, may have sent some of his family members to different regions of the earth, the world, for the survivors on various parts of the earth, so that they can teach them about civilization again, for example, things like farming and various other things. So there is an exegete, Mufassir, a very famous Mufassir, who suggests one more very interesting thing in regards to Noah's Ark. His name is El-Mallı Hamdi Yazır. According to his tafsir, Noah's Ark may have had a steam engine as well. This is another very interesting topic, because when we look at Surah Hud, verse 40 in the Quran says, "Hatta إذا جاء أمرنا وفارت النور." When our command comes and its oven or furnace boils, this is the tanur. The term tanur is used in the Quran. So what is a furnace on a ship? What does it really mean? Some classical scholars interpreted this as the furnace of the earth boiling, and water gushing out from the ground. There are also rains coming down as well. There are some views also that the term tanuru, furnace or the oven, refers to an oven in Noah's home. But when we look at the context, it doesn't make sense, this interpretation, because it's evident in the verse that furnace, the term furnace or oven used for the ark, it's something on the ark. So this famous scholar, El-Mallah Hamdi Yasser, believes that the ship may have had a steam engine. So the ship may have been more advanced than what we think, historically, or what the classical scholars believed. Because Noah's nation, when we analyze some of the verses in the Quran, and building an ark or a fleet that can, survive in those horrific, catastrophic floods, had to be, you have to have a skill. And of course, the Quran suggests that Allah guided him as well. But what pops into my mind is that Noah's nation may have actually been an advanced civilization. And the ship or the fleet, we can say, may have had engines. So technically, we may have had a mechanism within the ship that allowed it to travel faster and survive in those great floods, we can say.